Oh, we're live. Amber, we're live. Howdy, folks. I'm Brian.
I'm Amber. I was Barbie Fashionista Party Glam Doll earlier, but now I'm just Amber.
Yeah, and I was not a party fashionista glam Barbie doll earlier,
No, you aren't.
but I was like a Barbie's own personal photographer.
Yes, photographer Ken.
Photographer Ken. Yes, I am just your generic old Ken. But nobody's at our live stream yet, and I'm sure somebody will pop in eventually. Maybe. Maybe they won't. Maybe everyone has forgotten about our live stream because we didn't announce it like way in advance. That's the risk. Is like it was such a busy week this week.
Mm-hmm.
We had so many things going on, and it just was like, here's the live stream stuff going on, and then suddenly, it's like, oh, we've got a live stream. So if you're watching this back in the future when it's not the live stream, sorry I forgot to announce this sooner. But yeah, we'll see, make sure to announce that sooner next time around.
Everyone could just be watching the Barbie movie too.
Oh, you know what? I bet you people are out watching the Barbie movie. This was probably a bad day to do a live stream. Well, folks, let's get started. We'll see how this episode goes for us. We'll keep it moving for you future watchers. All right, folks, our first letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Refusing to Do My Housework While My Boyfriend Goes to Work, Even Though I Don't Have a Job? And Mary, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Mary.
Not watching the Barbie movie. Yes, well, you know, we thought everyone was going to be watching the Barbie movie today. We're like, oh, that's where everyone is at. So let's get started. Let's jump into this letter here and keep it going. I'm a 19-year-old female, and I've been dating my boyfriend, a 25-year-old male, for 5 months now, and he's amazing. However, one disagreement that we often have is over housework. My boyfriend thinks that I should do housework, seeing as he works 48 hours a week, and I'm not employed. I have always refused. We don't live together. We live in separate houses and pay separate rent. I afford rent through my university student loans, as well as tutoring and babysitting part-time. So, in my opinion, I have no reason to clean his house when I have my own that I pay for. My boyfriend thinks that it's unfair that I don't really work, yet have enough money for rent. In his eyes, I should do the household chores for him because he's the breadwinner. The thing is that I don't see him as the breadwinner. He doesn't pay for my rent, I do. We aren't married, and I'm still in education. I can't tell if I'm being unreasonable. I cook for him and occasionally help with chores, but I refuse to be a full-time maid for him. Then again, he works so hard, whereas I only have to work a few hours a week. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. I mean, honestly, OP, I know you say this guy is great, but this does not give me warm fuzzies. I mean, first of all, you do not live together. Why would you be an unpaid maid when you don't live together?
Yeah.
Secondly, he does not pay your rent. He is not a breadwinner. He like it doesn't matter how much money he is making. It's not all going directly to you.
Yeah.
And
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
I was gonna say, and to top that off, OP, you are 100% working. You are going to school, so you're a full-time student. Then you're tutoring and doing babysitting on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe it doesn't bring in like tons of cash, but work is work.
Yeah, exactly. But before I give my take on it, I'm gonna say hi to Sue Sums and hi. You changed your name. Tuesday. We'll call you Tuesday now. So yeah, I think agree with Mary here. The guy is delusional, and it sounds like he's Susum says it sounds like he's just jealous. He needs therapy. And Tuesday says just got off work. Yeah, glad I did catch it. Well, we're glad that you're here. So thanks for joining us. I also think that this guy is just making excuses. It seems like he's just trying to find a way to basically get OP to just
Clean his house for
clean his
free.
house for free. Yeah.
And like, I do not like what this bodes for the future of the relationship because he's showing zero respect for OP's actual work she's doing.
Yeah.
Like again, even if it's not all paid employment, it's still work. Like going to school is a lot of work.
Yeah, well, going to school is going to be a good full-time job in a lot of ways, right? And if you're actually taking your education seriously, you're going to be studying, you're going to be doing homework, you're going to be taking classes. Classes take time out of your day to go to.
Well, and then his whole thing about being jealous about how Opie has enough money to pay the rent when she's using student loan money, like that's not free money. She's gonna have to pay it back.
Yeah.
Like, this guy, I just do not think he's a good partner.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And Tuesday also says, yeah, I just got married about 3 weeks ago and changed my first and last names. And my husband changed his last name. So congratulations.
Yeah.
And, yes, Susum says, who cares what OP earns and does with her money? Boyfriend isn't paying anything for her. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and there is one really important
Yes, there's an
comment
important
here.
comment here.
I did read this comment, so I want to share it. Maybe, oh, this one's too old. Because I downloaded this one way earlier in the day because I tend to just download them, so I don't actually have that comment. But he refuses to watch the Barbie movie, folks. What does that tell you? He refuses to watch the Barbie movie. So, I think we have our answer.
Yes. I love how that's become like the new litmus test is like if your partner refuses to watch, I mean, there are legitimate reasons to not want to watch the Barbie
Yeah, there
movie.
are.
But like the people who are just like either Barbie's for girls or I don't like that this movie isn't all about men are like I love how it's become the new litmus test.
Yeah, yeah. So, Tuesday, basically, the skinny on it is this. The guy, they don't live together. He works full time. She goes to school, and he wants her to come over to his house and clean because he's the breadwinner.
Well, and he doesn't pay her rent either. She uses her student loan money to pay
Yeah.
the rent.
So that's really all you need to know. He's a real winner. And by that, I mean not.
Yeah.
Our next letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Naming My Baby the Same Name as a Child from a Previous Marriage? I'm a 39-year-old female, and my husband and I have recently had our 5th baby together. I also have a daughter, a 16-year-old female, from my previous marriage. If you have read my previous Am I the Jerk posts, you will know that my daughter hates her younger sibling and has gone low contact with us since I announced the baby. She is currently living with her friend and only texts on rare occasions. Her name was a character of hers and her dad's favorite TV show. My ex, when my daughter was 8, and although the name was my ex's choice, I have always thought that it was a pretty name. When we had our daughter, I sent my elder daughter a text announcing it and included that they share the same first name. My husband's great aunt also has this name, so I didn't think that it would be a problem. I assumed that she had no issue considering that she does not associate with the family at all anymore and would likely rarely see the baby. However, she was extremely angry and eventually told me never to talk to her again, and I later received an angry message from her friend's father who said that who she's currently living with. I don't see them sharing a name as a problem because not only will they not see each other often, but they also have different last names, so am I the jerk here? I would also like to add that the names have different spellings. Since most of you are calling me the jerk, I would like to add additional information. My eldest daughter's name is Dana, after Dana Scully, whereas my youngest name is Dana. So much different. We also have been using the nickname Day for the youngest, so no, not exactly the same. My husband's great aunt also shares this name, and it's not particularly unique. And they don't have the same middle name. And this was our 5th baby together. It was hard to find baby names, and this that we could both agree on. Husband's eldest are not close, especially since she no longer is living with us and they don't talk at all. I have to be clear when I say that I did not name my baby the same as my eldest, to offend her in any way, and did not expect such an argument. Alright, folks, what do you think?
Yes, you're the jerk. Tell me you don't care about your kid without telling me you don't care about your kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what a way to alienate your child and be like, yeah, I just replaced you. Here's a new kid with your name, but don't worry, there's a Y in there, so it's not the same.
Yeah, it's clearly not the same at all. I mean, they just sound the same when you speak them.
And the excuse is like, we've had 5 kids with out of all the thousands of names, I just couldn't find another name.
Yeah, there's like 10 names that you can name babies, and that was just 5 of them are girls and 5 of them are boy names, and so, what can you do, right?
Like, it's just the laziest excuses, and it's like I'm just so frustrated and upset on the daughter's behalf because I can't imagine having a parent do something so blatantly, like, I basically say I'm replacing you with my new kid,
Mm-hmm.
and then be like, I don't know why you're upset. Like, this just screams to me that there's a lot deeper issues why this daughter is living with her friend and not with OP. And it seems like OP has probably just replaced her with her new family.
Yeah.
And like the daughter probably that's part of why she hates her siblings so much is because they're her replacements and OP treats them better.
Yeah. And Tuesday says, "You're the jerk. It's weird to have a kid named after another kid. It kind of feels like the new baby is a replacement for OP's older." Yeah, I agree on that. And Susum says, "I'm trying to process. Did OP give the same name to both her? I'm confused." Yeah, it's the same name. It's one spelt with a Y.
Yeah.
It's literally the same name. Mary says, "I guess if they're not in the same house, it wouldn't be like Dana phone call, but yeah, I still give you're the jerk." And Mary says, "I had 8 kids, and I managed to name them all without any repeats." Well, Mary, you did the impossible. Susum says, "But that is just saying that she doesn't want her oldest daughter to be with them ever." And I mean, I think that's kind of exactly it. She's kind of just closing the door on that invite. And Maisie, welcome. This is a weird one. It's being a jerk move aside, it seems really inconvenient to name 2 of your kids the same name. Yeah, I mean, I agree on that. And yeah, let's move along to the next one. Because we got a whole centrifuge worth of stories here for you folks.
I mean, I think this guy needs a centrifuge. I mean, OP in the last story did too. And the guy in the first one, but this one also.
Yes. "Hi, Morgan. Welcome. Don't be sorry that you're late. I'll be sorry. Everyone can just call me sorry from now on." Our next letter is titled, "My partner, a 22-year-old male, says taking another wife would make him regain the value I, a 24-year-old female, lost when I slept with other men before I met him." All right, folks.
Just straight to the centrifuge.
Do we need to read the details to already know the outcome? By far, the biggest problem in my relationship, 4.5 years, has been that my partner has always hated that I slept with other men before I met him. It's been the number one topic in our arguments from basically day one. I spent over a year having constant conversations in which I had to explain to him all the details about my romantic life before I met him. He also kept trying to change my mind when it came to adult intimate time and intimacy, and the importance of it. I didn't give it much importance to it at all back then. He did change my mind, which I'm grateful for, but the way he did it by pressuring me, getting emotional, and saying that he's so hurt when he thinks about me with someone else, and how important the family is, and intimacy, and true love. 2 years into the relationship, he suggests for me to regain the value that I lost by sleeping with other men, that he could take another wife. I feel so incredibly hurt by this, and I can't imagine ever being okay with it. I love him, and I love our life together, but since he suggested this, I just can't deal with it anymore. The guilt and shame that I felt for my past, how difficult it was for me to come to terms with the fact that hooking up messes you up emotionally, changing my whole life and belief system into something that he taught me and believed himself. and then for him to take that and change it again. Now, true love doesn't exist. Monogamous relationships are not the best way to do life. Instead, I get a half a boyfriend, we were engaged but not anymore, and have to share my house and my resources and my life with another woman and their kids. Like, what in the world? I'm starting to think that he's power hungry. He wants more women to control and dominate, and more women to be submissive and serve him. He went from this sweet guy to a controlling partner. Don't get me wrong, in many ways I like him better now. He's more mature and good at making decisions, but wanting to control me so much is suffocating. I just really appreciate some feedback from both men and women. Would you tolerate this as a woman? How would you feel? Would you ever agree to it? Would you ever suggest polygamy to your wife? Do you want more than one wife? Are you so hurt by your partner's past relationships? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
No, OP, you're not the jerk. And I really feel so bad. Like, what he is doing is manipulation and control. And there's nothing wrong with having past partners. There's nothing wrong with having hookups. And those aren't for everyone, and they can be psychologically traumatizing to some people, especially if things don't go well. But that doesn't mean that they're universally bad or universally harmful, and lots of
Yeah.
people have a lot of fun with them. So I
Yeah.
just want to kind of clarify that first. It sounds like he's been using this to guilt and shame you,
Mm-hmm.
and that this may not even have been your true belief initially, and he just has now like warped you into his way of being. And this just
Yeah.
sounds like a very controlling relationship. And the important thing to remember is that abusers don't start out controlling.
Yeah, and that's really what it boils down to. This is abuse, plain and simple. He's manipulated you, he's taken an idea that you had, turned you around, and basically shamed you into believing that you were actually a bad person in the past for things that you did. What you did, there was no shame in. People have different belief systems, and that's fine, right? And as for like polygamy and open relationships and stuff like that, I think that really needs to be a couple by couple type of discussion, and needs to be something that people are open, both partners are open to, and it can't be something that's manipulative or based on like other that stuff like that,
Well, and
right?
his whole argument that like it's going to make up for lost value, you have not lost value. And I
Yeah,
really hate
exactly.
this line of argument that people lose value by getting intimate. Like,
Yeah,
you do not lose any value by doing that. You are
exactly.
just as whole as you were before.
Yeah, and I think like value is such an odd thing to place on intimacy like that. And it's not like you are a piece of you is lost because you
Right.
are intimate with another individual. It's just that you went and had feelings with someone else and then you moved on, and that's how life goes. It doesn't make you less whole of an individual. And I think that that's a really flawed line of reasoning, and I feel like poor OP here has just been convinced into something that just is just a very is not a healthy system
Mm-hmm.
of beliefs. And Mary says, "I want to see the other woman," and I mean, I'm guessing that yeah, I want to see the other woman as well. Basically, Morgan says, "Oh no," and Tuesday says, "I'm just screaming. This is so bad. As a person who has slept around before my marriage, I don't feel damaged by it, and I wouldn't stay with a man who's saying that I'm damaged." Exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
And OP needs to run fast and far away. Mary says, "Tell boyfriend to have fun in Utah." Now, Susum says, "I just think that the boy needed to grow up and get out of puberty before marriage. And he's right, he needs another wife after divorce. But to be true, I think that OP just needs serious therapy." Yeah, I actually agree with you there. Therapy at this point in time would be really good. I think having someone else, an actual non-harmful individual to sit down and talk to these feelings about would go a long way towards hopefully healing some of the damage that he's caused.
Yeah, and domestic violence resource center might be a good starting place. They can
Mm-hmm.
help you find a therapist who's trained in that type of trauma,
Yeah.
because this psychological manipulation is not good.
Yeah. And Morgan says, "Not the jerk. This is terrible in OP's situation." Yep. And Susum says, But I'm glad that OP actually feels that this is not right. That gives me hope that she can move on with her life. Yeah, I agree. And Mary says, wonder what line he'll put with his next girlfriend. Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a matter of convenience, right? And I think that he'll use whatever he can in order to tell people that they're not worth anything to him, or they're not whole to him. It's just that's what these kind of abusive people do. All right, folks, our next letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Refusing to Take Over My Wife's Household Chores? I'm a 34-year-old male, recently had a heated argument with my pregnant wife, a 30-year-old female, and I'm wondering if I'm the jerk here. After a year of trying, my wife is currently 7 months pregnant with our first child, but it hasn't been smooth sailing. She's been dealing with morning sickness, fatigue, and other pregnancy-related challenges. I've been supportive, buying her cravings, and attending all the OBGYN appointments. However, things changed when she started expecting me to do more around the house. I want to clarify that I'm not a misogynist. I understand that household chores can be shared, but in our household, it's been our arrangement that she handles most of them. I work a demanding full-time job, and I often come home exhausted. However, my wife believes that since she's pregnant, I should take on the majority of the household chores. She insists that she needs more rest and less stress for the sake of the baby. I provide for us financially, and I believe that should be enough. The baby would be more affected by growing up in poverty-stricken home, right? I think that it's fair for her to handle most of the chores since she's not working, and she's not physically incapable of doing them. I understand that she may need naps or breaks due to the pregnancy discomfort, but not doing any chores at all seems excessive. We had a huge fight the other day when she asked me to do the laundry. I was tired after work and told her that it was her responsibility if she wanted it done that night. I explained that I would be willing to help on weekends, but it's not my agreed upon role. She got upset, accusing me of not caring about her or the baby. I tried to explain, but she wouldn't listen. She claims that the baby will suffer if she does the housework, which I don't understand. She called me selfish, saying that I shirk my responsibilities as a husband and a father. I argued that she was being lazy and expected too much. We didn't speak for the rest of the evening. The next day, seeking advice, I talked to some friends and family who all sided with me. They say that my wife is being unreasonable and taking advantage. They agreed that I was already doing enough by providing financially. Feeling validated, I confronted my wife again and shared what others had said. She got angrier, accusing me of twisting the situation to make myself look good. She claimed that I was surrounded by biased people who didn't understand the challenges as a woman. I'm frustrated and hurt. I genuinely believe that I'm not in the wrong. I work hard to support our family, and we had agreed upon household roles. She never mentioned her pregnancy involving me taking over chores. I fear that this will escalate when the baby is born, and I don't have time for that. I think that she's being unreasonable and expecting too much. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think of that? Put upon OP.
OP, I don't think you are ready for a child. I feel bad for the kid and for your wife here. Like, I understand that you and your wife have a division of labor that has historically worked well for you.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that pregnancy is physically and emotionally tolling.
Yeah.
She's not going to be at 100% throughout the rest of her pregnancy.
Yeah.
And once the baby's born, she's going to have all these additional responsibilities and she's going to need help with them. And it's your job as a good partner to step up, even if you're tired.
Yeah. I really am interested in hearing what OP said to his friends and family in order to get them to side with them, because being pregnant can be taxing, and every person's going to have their own tolerances about what they can and can't do. And I think that this is one of those situations where they actually probably need to go into counseling and sit and talk about what's actually causing the friction in this situation, because it seems like they are on completely different pages.
Well, it does. And the thing is, like, you cannot expect, like, I understand that sounds like she's a stay-at-home mom, but
Yeah.
like, you can't expect her to do everything 24/7 because her job never ends. She
Yeah.
needs to be able to have breaks. She needs to be able to have downtime. She needs to be able to have help.
Yeah. Well, and I think that a lot of parents go into this into parenthood not realizing that being a parent is a full-time job, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's for both parents. If one of your if your partner is working all the time while you get a break and time off, then that means you're doing it wrong, right? You both need to be able to share how much downtime there is for each person. And it's not going to be a whole lot. And that's just the reality of being a parent.
Well, I also like how OP is complaining about being tired. And I get being tired at the end of the day, but as if his wife, who is pregnant, isn't tired.
Yeah, we're all tired. We're all tired, and parents are tired especially. So that's just not the. Welcome to adulthood. I'm sorry that you found out the hard way that it's hard. But that's the reality of it. Oh my goodness. And let's see. Where are these comments today? Yes, well, OP, wife, and Susam says, well, OP, wife is working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to create a human. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Morgan says, you're the jerk. OP definitely needs to help his wife more. And Susam says, I think sharing chores is just fair. I agree. I mean, I think it is fair. I mean, I think that you should really, when you view how much someone is contributing to a household, you shouldn't base it off of the money aspect. You should base it off of the time aspect.
Mm-hmm.
How much time do you have to do things? And that's going to help to create a much more equitable type of situation. And Mary says, you're the jerk. By the way, she wouldn't listen. She wouldn't listen. Seriously. Yeah. And Susam says his friends and family probably were all male. They might have been. They might have been. And Tuesday says, yeah, you're the jerk. This man doesn't understand how hard it is. What is he going to do if she needs a C-section and is on bed rest? What is he going to do if she, for whatever reason, can't do any chores? And that's, I think, all very valid points. He sounds like he expects her to take all of the slack and him to never have to do any more.
Yeah, well, and I'm also, another thing this reminds me of, this comment kind of brought up, is like, he doesn't seem at all concerned about her physical well-being through all of this, or psychological well-being. He's like, it's your job. And then like, but do you not understand that this is, very taxing and tiring for her? Like,
yeah, no one told you to quit your job,
mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I like how he in there in the post he's like, and it would be better for the kid not to be raised in poverty. What are you gonna do? Quit your job to work chores full time? Give me a break. No one's asking you to do that. She was just asking you to help out with more chores because she can't do them all. So I think he's really kind of. I wonder if you like approach them as like, should I quit my job to do chores at home? My wife is expecting me to do that. Our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for yelling at my wife after she blew up my phone with calls because of a fire? Throy, because some of this made local news and I don't want it connecting back to me. I work in a place where we are not allowed to have personal electronics on us at all. No phones, no smartwatches, no pagers. I've been working here for about 6 months, so my wife knows this and understands that she should not try to contact me by cell at work. Phones are dropped off in our lockers, and I typically have mine on Do Not Disturb. Before the incident, my phone has never gone off in the locker before. Recently, there was a pretty big fire at a secondary work site that I do work at occasionally, but that day I was working at the main building. Local news covered the fire before I found out about it because, again, no electronics. Plus, the work that we do isolates us a bit, so news travels. Whoops. I accidentally messed up where we were at. Sorry about that. 1 second. Local news covered the fire before I found out about it because, again, no electronics. Plus, the work that we do isolates us a bit, so news travels pretty slowly. There were a few casualties, a lot of seriously injured folks. My wife had been watching the news from home and started freaking out, I guess. She called me 20 freaking times, which, and I did not know this was possible, overrode my do not disturb, and my phone was ringing for a while in my locker. In the middle of my shift, I got a call into my manager's office and was chewed out and written up for my phone making so much noise. They told me to go take care of whatever it was that was making the phone go off before I went back to work. I won't lie, when I saw those 20 missed calls from my wife, I was seriously mad. Like I said, she knows not to try to contact me directly, and a citation will hurt my chances of getting a raise or promotion. I called her back, and she was sobbing and asked me if I was okay. I said of course I was okay, and asked what in the world was wrong with her to call me so many times. She was still crying and started talking about the fire. After that, I started half yelling at her about all the reasons that it was dumb to call me. When I got home, she was super upset with me. I apologized for yelling, but she refuses to talk. She's been very chilly the past few days and sleeping in our daughter's room. I know that it was not the best decision to yell at her, but I still think that I was justified. 1, she knows that I don't work the secondary worksite very often. 2, she knows that I can't be contacted directly, and she could have just called the office. 3, 20 calls is absolutely insane. Am I the jerk? Alright, folks, what do you think of this one?
Yes, OP, you're the jerk. Like, I'm sorry your workplace is really terrible. Like, they're the biggest jerks in all of this. Like, they should have just let everyone go home when there was, like, a major fire with casualties, that
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they handled this completely inappropriately, but your wife was just scared.
Yeah, I have a hard time blaming the wife entirely. I mean, I understand that her blowing up the phone was probably maybe not the best way of handling the situation.
Oh, but
She
it's
could have called the office, but I think that this was a pretty expected way of someone dealing with a stressful situation like
Well,
this.
and OP is looking at this from kind of a detached, rational perspective. When
Yeah,
you're in a panic,
yeah,
like I'm not gonna think to call the main office necessarily. I'm just gonna call Brian 20 plus times because I want to make sure he's not dead. Like
yeah, yeah,
that's immediately where, and so when you're that upset, you think your partner might be dead or seriously injured, and you just want to know if they're okay, you can't expect them to be like, oh, I guess I really should call the main office to figure this out
yeah.
because that's not how panic works.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm wondering why they didn't tell everyone to go and who does work at that secondary site to call their loved ones to let them know that they were okay,
Right.
or call them themselves to let them know that they're fine, because that really seems like a very short-sighted thing to have people left in this emotional lurch. Like, I think that if I were OP, and I were in his shoes, the first thing that I would have done once I heard about this fire would have gone to the locker and then called my wife just to let them know that I was okay.
Yeah.
Like that would have been, I think, a common courtesy. It'd be like, oh, I know, or have the main office give her a call if you are not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
So I think the work site, they're just acting pretty unreasonable and not humane enough. So Mary says, she doesn't know, doesn't hear from OP, and she panics. Well, why might she panic? The manager sounds like a jerk. It's not like OP was answering the calls. You're the jerk. You are mad at the wrong person.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. OP should not be mad at his wife. He should be mad at this workplace for being inconsiderate like this. Morgan says, you're the jerk. You could have been in that fire, or so close that she could be still traumatized. And Susum says, my first thought is that OP works as a prison guard. I think that since the problem is like some of my things are cut off here because it's got like a little symbol here. I think that the wife overdid it, but OP shouldn't shout at his wife. He wasn't. It wasn't because of the stress, you know. And I agree on that. I mean, I do agree on that. All right, folks. Our next letter is titled, I'm a 36-year-old female, and my husband, a 44-year-old male, would rather divorce than show me his Instagram inbox. So, folks, what do you think? Are we going to centrifuge this one, or are we going to centrifuge this one? My husband and I have been having a really tough time. Asked him to leave after several weeks of verbal abuse. I found out that I'm pregnant 11 weeks along a couple of months ago, and it's been absolute nightmare. Everything I say and do is completely ripped to shreds by him, so I told him to leave, and he was gone for 2 days. He came back today, and I randomly glanced at his phone and saw several women at the top of his Instagram inbox. I said in order for us to move our relationship forward from all of this, I need him to stop the verbal abuse and show me his Instagram inbox. He admitted to contacting women to complain about how unhappy he was with me, but he refused to show me the inbox. I told him that keeping his inbox secret would force me to file for divorce and get a termination. I cannot be in a marriage with someone who can't be honest about their online activities. He said that he is leaving to go stay with a friend at the beach who is a single man known to party and always have random women in bed. He confirmed that he would rather me get a termination and file for divorce than show me the inbox. I broke down into tears. I begged him not to do this to us. I begged him just to be honest. He said that it's my choice and I'm the one who's making this happen, so I should trust him. He was a cheater in his past relationships, bad too, without the protection, with his last partner, was pregnant even, multiple women telling them that they think that they are pregnant. He would complain to them about his relationship, even send pictures of his then partner to other women, saying how fat she was. So naturally, I'm having a hard time trusting that he is not contacting other women and having emotional affairs with them and complaining about me. Please help me work through this. I don't want to end up like his ex, cheated on and raising a child alone. All right, folks, what do you feel about this one now? I mean, this one's just sad, right?
Yeah, I mean, OP, I think divorce is the best course of action. I think you know who he is. He's not going to change. He's an abuser. He uses people, and that's just who he is.
Yeah, yeah. This is not a good situation. I feel bad for OP because she just wants to rebuild trust in the relationship. And I think that people are entitled to privacy in a relationship. And I certainly feel like you should not be looking at other people's private messages in general. But in this particular case where she's already seen that he's talking with other women, I think that in this case she has probable cause for opening up that inbox there. I do think that at a certain extent the right to privacy is superseded by evidence of the contrary, right?
Well, and he's allowed to keep that privacy but end the relationship. I think that's a smart thing to do because he is hiding something.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he has this long history. It's not like this was just an out of the blue, like, oh, hey, can I see your Instagram inbox? I just am feeling insecure. This is like, I've seen something that concerns me. You have this long history of cheating on people. Like, he just doesn't sound like a good partner.
Yeah, and I think that's really what this boils down to. He does need the centrifuge, and so to the centrifuge he goes, I guess, right? And Mary says, well, that sounds very suspicious, doesn't it? And Tuesday says, very sketch. Susum says, then divorce OP. Exactly. Mary says, hubby is making an offer OP can't refuse. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Maisie says, centrifuge for him. But why is Insta inbox a deal breaker and not the abuse?
Yeah.
Yeah, if termination is an option, then it should be because she doesn't want her child in that environment. And Tuesday says, if I had a nickel for every Reddit story where a guy clearly is in the wrong says, you caused this, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Well, I mean, that's a common abuse tactic is to try and turn it on the victim and be like, this is your fault. You're the one who is doing all this.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's actually called DARVO. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and oppressor, or something like that. Yeah, oppressed. And that's really what it boils down to is people who are abusive, they'll blame you for something that they did. So their actions, they might have cheated on you, but they'll say, you caused me to cheat on you because you acted a certain way. If you had just done what I asked you to, then I wouldn't have had to do that. So, and yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. These abuse tactics are just absolutely the worst. Mary says, better to raise a child alone than raise a child under that kind of influence. Exactly. And Susum says, I think that OP shouldn't wait for him to dump her, but divorce him and make the decision for herself. Morgan says, sorry, someone in real life was screaming at me. Oh no, I'm sorry, Morgan. I'm sorry that someone's screaming at you. Oh, screaming for you. I thought she was screaming at me. I misread that. Megan says, my first time being able to join the live stream, even if I'm super late. Megan, welcome. Thanks for joining us on the live stream today. And Susum says, it's my first live stream. Usually I'm sleeping at this time. Well, thanks for joining us too. Our next letter is titled, I'm a 24-year-old female, and I feel like my best friend and her boyfriend, a 32-year-old female and a 32-year-old male, are trying to prey on me. My best friend, a 32-year-old female, and I, a 24-year-old female, have been friends for about 7 years. Do the math, folks. We live in different states, and we take turns visiting each other multiple times a year. So, I'm currently visiting her and staying at her house. Last night, my best friend and her new boyfriend, a 32-year-old male, propositioned me into having a threesome with them. I started laughing because I thought that they were kidding. Once I realized that it wasn't a joke, I said absolutely not. I don't mess with my friends like that. I was honestly mad that she would even ask me such a thing. Her boyfriend then made a comment of, we could just hold you down and do it anyways, and they both laughed like it was just a normal thing to say. I went to the guest room, locked the door, and I went to sleep. Actually, sorry folks, I didn't realize that I forgot that this one was this horrible. This one is pretty horrible. This morning, I tried to forget last night ever happened and remain cordial towards her boyfriend until he said, tonight we're all getting drunk and I want to be intimate with you. I honestly felt like I'm being preyed on here until next Monday. I honestly feel like I'm being preyed on and I'm here until next Monday. She's never been like this before and it's honestly scaring me. What can I say to my friend about this to let her know that I'm serious and I don't want it? No, the only word you need is no. That's how you let somebody know that you're serious. How can I stop them from pressuring me? Edit. Thanks to everyone who provided positive comments and helped me sort out the situation. I appreciate it. I'm no longer at my friend's home and I'm staying at a hotel, but I will remain in Nevada for the duration of my trip. Edit 2. I spoke to my friend and she agreed to meet me at my hotel without her boyfriend being there to discuss what happened. It isn't clear that I don't want to lose the friendship. She doesn't either, and we are trying to figure it out. All right, folks, what do you think about this situation?
This is just not good. I'm really glad OP got out of that house, because I don't know if this is like a fantasy of the boyfriends and like she's the friends going along with it, which isn't okay, or if they both are kind of in on this. But like, no matter what the situation is, as soon as someone says no, that should have been absolutely the end.
Yeah, that shouldn't have progressed past this. This guy is a scary person.
And if the friend is just willing to like laugh at him joking about assaulting her, like that's not a good friendship right there.
No, this is not. What they said was not a joke. What they said wasn't funny, and it's actually pretty horrific that they would even think that this was something that they should joke about.
And so, like, the only thing is, like, if he is an abuser, like, if this relationship, she may be, like, if the friend has never, ever been like this before, and, like, she doesn't feel safe to go against him, that's the only possibility I can think of where, like, because she should absolutely have shut this down, but sometimes when people are in really bad situations, they're just trying to survive and keep their head above water, and it gets bad. But
yeah, I mean, this whole thing is just really gross. It's really icky, and I hope that OP and her friend were able to kind of break out of this thing, because I mean, it's weird that the friend would suddenly spring this on OP if they've been friends for this long. But yeah, Morgan says, not to jerk, oh my. And Tuesday says, ah, no. Mary says, oh wow, run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Megan says, this would definitely be the last time I would be seeing both of these friends. Yeah, yeah. Mary says, just grab your purse and run. Maisie says, unicorn hunters respect single women challenge. Susan says, yikes. I think OP needs to run and rethink this friendship. She doesn't look good. She doesn't look good friends. The age difference also sounds sus too. Trust your guts. Mary says, they were 14 when they met. Grooming or 17 potentially? Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's it. It does sound like it could even potentially be a grooming situation if this has been her intent for this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
If it's more or less just like he's now pressuring his girlfriend into this situation. I mean, either way, it sounds like it's just not a good situation.
No, it's not.
So we'll have a little bit of a lighter one now. My boyfriend, a 20-year-old male, thinks that the earth is flat. Should I, an 18-year-old female, break up with him? So my boyfriend has always been a massive conspiracy theorist, thinking that COVID was fake and stuff like that. This will make sense later. He was brought up in a Christian household, but for as long as I know him, he doesn't care about religion at all. But all of a sudden, he purchased a Bible, started going to church on Sundays, won't say the Lord's name in vain, and keeps saying that adult intimate time before marriage is a sin. Every now and then, something will come up that kind of relates to religion or conspiracies, and he will just call me stupid, brainwashed, or a sheep. But he's like unbelievably rude about it. He totally believes that the world is flat and that I can't go to Antarctica because it's actually the wall preventing us from falling off the flat earth. I will always respect his beliefs and everything that he wants to live by. I don't believe in God or anything, and I've always believed in science, but as soon as he starts calling me stupid, brainwashed, and a sheep, I'm just like, what in the world? And it really upsets me when he calls me things like this because once he starts talking about his conspiracies, he gets fixated on them and doesn't stop. Don't know what to do. We live 5 hours from each other, but this comes up so much and it just makes me uncomfortable at this point. He's so stubborn and nothing will change his point of view. That's fine, but oh my. I don't need to be dumped on just for having my own beliefs and views. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk and dump him. Someone who talks down to you like that is not a partner worth having. Someone who shows you so little respect, like you've been very accommodating toward him, even though some of his views are very unscientific. He can't give you that same respect shows that you're not compatible.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to have differing views. It's another thing to insult someone over those differing views. You're allowed to not believe in certain things or to believe in certain things, and he's allowed to believe in those things as well. And you two can have discussions about those things and about those differences. But the moment it divulges into calling people names, being disrespectful and uncivil towards someone, just shows a fundamental lack of respect, and it isn't a good way for two people who are supposed to be partners, a team, to be acting. And it really just shows that he will never respect what you have to say. Like you are just a brainwashed individual, so that's that. He doesn't have to listen to anything that OP has to say.
And that's also helpful too to think about long term. Like, is this a relationship that you would see going long term? And what if kids are a thing you want? Could you imagine yourself raising kids with someone who will call you brainwashed for trying to teach them science?
Yeah, I mean, what happens exactly what Amber said. If you plan on having kids, then that's going to be a big consideration. You two need to be a united front when you're having kids and raising them, and it's going to send a lot of mixed messages when daddy's calling mommy a brainwashed sheep, right? I mean, that's not a good place to be.
No.
Mary says, don't break up, just leave him at the edge of the world. Susan says, OP, just walk away. He's crazy and you can't fix him. And I mean, that's important. It's like in a relationship, you can't fix somebody, they have to fix themselves. So that's really important to keep in mind. Um, let's see. Megan says it would be one thing if he was respectful, but he's not at all. Leave. Morgan says, not the jerk. No, if OP can't handle him, I just say the little things to prove him wrong. Or, yeah, you're just dumb. Susan says, I think that COVID was a perfect time to look for a partner because it was so easy to see if you match. Just ask them what they think about COVID and the vaccine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not an unfair point.
Mm-hmm.
This one's also a little bit lighter, folks. We started off kind of intense. Now we're on the downslope here. Our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for making my husband a vegan dinner even though he's completely against becoming one? I'm a 24-year-old female and my husband, a 25-year-old male, have been happily married for a little over a year now. We met through a mutual friend and he learned very quickly that I'm a vegan. About a year after we met and got closer, we started dating. He had no issues with me being a vegan, but made it very clear that I couldn't force him into becoming a vegan, which I respected. I haven't ever put him down for eating meat in front of me, as that's his choice. Each to their own. We even served both vegan and meat-inclusive foods at our wedding to accommodate both of our families. Up until now, everything was great. However, recently, I've been seeing a ton of vegan recipes on my Pinterest and decided that I wanted to try making one for dinner. We don't usually end up getting to have a fancy dinner at home because we both work full time. But I found some time today to cook something up. It was a recipe for pulled pork sandwiches, but the pork wasn't pork, it was jackfruit. He seemed a little bit stressed about work, but I showed him the surprise dinner and that seemed to help his mood out. He ate it happily and even complimented my cooking. But when he asked me what was in it, and when I told him that it was pulled pork sandwiches with jackfruit as meat alternative, he lashed out. He shouted, telling me that he made it clear that he was staying a meat eater. I tried explaining that I wasn't trying to turn him into a vegan, but he just walked away. This happened a few hours back, and now he's refusing to talk to me. I feel like I might be the jerk for making him a vegan meal, even though he'd made extremely clear that he wouldn't become one, because even if it wasn't my intention to make him one, I still made a vegan dinner and passed it off as meat. So Reddit, am I the jerk? Edit, this is pretty commonly asked question, so I'll just clear it up here. I didn't say that it was pulled pork sandwich. All I had said is that I made some sandwiches for us. Nothing more, nothing less. Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. It's not like you have to have meat at every meal to be an omnivore.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if they ate the dinner together, like, how could he assume it wasn't vegan? Like,
Yeah.
if I were to make Brian a meal with, with some sort of meat product in it, he's not gonna be surprised that it's soy meat, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's really what this boils down to. He shouldn't be too terribly surprised that it was vegan if OP is vegan. And OP didn't violate his beliefs because he still probably eats vegetables. I don't imagine he's on the carnivore diet.
Right, that's the thing, is so much of what we eat is just naturally vegan. And
Yeah.
in vegetables, a lot of seasonings, and like, so unless he explicitly said, I will never eat a meat substitute.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that jackfruit is not. I mean, it's not really a meat substitute either in some ways, right? I mean, anything could be a meat
Well,
substitute,
that's
right?
it exactly.
Like you can say beans to some degree are a meat substitute,
And they
or
absolutely are, yeah.
and I mean that that's where I have a really hard time with this whole thing is that he's making this into a bigger thing than I think it needs to be, right? I understand like if he had a very specific dietary restrictions and OP made him violate those, then why he would be upset and that would be perfectly legitimate. Like I said, if he was like strictly a carnivore and everything he ate was meat or butter, and there are people like this. There are people like this. Then I could understand him being like, you lied to me. This was supposed to be carnivore. But it sounds like he's just a general omnivore. So that's what I think here. Morgan says, not the jerk. Well, vegetables aren't poisonous. Mary says, not the jerk. I think it's a knee-jerk reaction from the husband. Susum says, husband is weird. If food is tasty and healthy, then eat it. Other thing is that if you don't like the taste or you think it's unhealthy, people should cling to the name vegan. And I mean, I think that's really important. It's like vegan is just a label at a certain level,
Yeah,
right?
it's a way of categorizing things that don't have animal products, but so many like this water here is vegan
Yeah,
because it doesn't have any animal stuff in it.
that vegan water, you just gotta watch out for it. I need my water with beef bouillon in it. That's the kind of water that I drink here. Oops, it's tea time, except for I forgot to fix my screen here. All right, folks, it's tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. Amber's got a joke, and I'm hunting for our last story while Amber looks for it.
Yeah, I had a joke picked out and I've lost my place. So sorry, 1 second.
Was the White Wedding one our last one?
Yeah, that's a good one to
All
end
right.
on.
All right.
Why did the cookie go to the doctor?
Why did the cookie go to the doctor? Well, I can tell you exactly why the cookie went to the doctor. The cookie was having some crumbly problems, right? They were walking around when they noticed that they were kind of losing chunks of cookie. And they're like, this isn't good. I need to go see the doctor. And so they did, but then the doctor ate them.
I mean, that kind of works because he felt crummy.
He felt crummy, and then the doctor ate him.
That
That is a horrifying story, Amber. Why did
I
you
did not make you.
Why did you make me tell that story, Amber?
I did no such thing. You decided on your own volition to take this silly little joke and make it twisted.
I know. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry.
You see what I have to put up with?
Mary's guessing that I have Mega Mint tea. Morgan says Earl Grey. Oh, do we have any more guesses? Do we have any more guesses for the tea?
I could guess the tea, but it would be cheating.
Yeah, Mary guessed the joke punchline because he was feeling crummy. Very, very clever, very clever. I actually didn't put that together. I was just like, how can I make this weird?
I feel like that's your general approach to life.
Yeah. The grandson would like the joke, but yes, the story would horrify him. Oh no. Oh no. Don't worry, I'll eat that cookie anyways, Susum says. Morgan says, sorry, I was getting dinner before my husband's ate it all. Well, I'm glad you got your dinner. And Susum says, I'm drinking a vegan drink, water as well. Susums, we all need to start putting beef bouillon in our water so that we can make sure that it's non-vegan, so that we can't be harmed by that vegan water.
Have I got something to tell you about that tea of yours?
Tea, which is licorice spice, is filled to the brim with bouillon cubes.
No, it's not.
What a horrifying drink that would be. Did you know they actually used to market bouillon cubes as like a tea or substitute, a hot drink substitute? Back when Campbell's was trying to make like soup be like a fashionable drink.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I mean, your soup broth though actually could be a drink. It is so good.
Amber's like, I want to drink your soup broth as a drink, Brian.
Well, I mean, like dipping bread in it, like Brian made new soup today with like fresh garlic in it, and like it's just so good. And I just want to eat all the broth with bread. It's really good.
Oops, wrong one. We're back at the beginning here, folks. Another hour. Timer reset. Our last letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Wanting People to Wear White at My Wedding? So I'm a 24-year-old female, and I've had a hard time seeing where I went wrong, but me and my husband-to-be, a 26-year-old male, both struggled with NPD. So I figured from an outside opinion might be helpful, since neither of us tend to understand where we went wrong, or where we're wrong or right anyways. I'm getting married, yay, in December to an absolute love of my life. We both want it to be the most spectacular wedding the world has ever seen because we both really love attention. I never used to feel comfortable admitting that, but ever since I've been with him, I've been able to really accept that, and it's made my life so much more fun. We decided that instead of having me in a white dress like all the other white dresses, and him in the same tuxedo as every man in attendance, it would look really spectacular if we both dressed head to toe in gold. What we want is for all of our guests to either wear black, white, or gray, and for us to be the only ones wearing color. I figured that not only would I look like a princess, but I'd also be dancing with a prince instead of some guy, and he's so into the idea that he remembers it as being his. We just love the idea of sea of monochrome and then us being in the middle of it. The only thing is that my sister, a 26-year-old female, has been absolutely furious at us since the clothing requirements came out. First, she said that it was proof that I never actually changed, that I was being controlling again, basically asking the guests to wear a specific color was ridiculous. Then, she started making digs about my hair and how I was just doing this to show off, and asked if I planned to have her dye her hair too. I did not. We're both blonde, but mine is a bit more yellow blonde, and my husband says is dyeing his hair for the wedding. I admitted to that, but also pointed out that it's my wedding and this is normal. She accused me of trying to upstage everyone else's wedding dress, basically implying that I was trying to get everyone to show up in wedding dresses so I could compete with them and make myself look even better by comparison. This was not even the plan. When I mentioned that she said when I mentioned what I said to my husband to be, his eyes kind of lit up in this really cute way, and he said that we should encourage people to actually wear their own wedding clothes. But we decided it would probably be actually terrible of us to do that. We decided to let our families wear copper if they wanted to, so it would stand out as a nice accent to the gold. And my sister then and then my sister would also get to stand out. I was totally willing to pay and said as much. That was when she called me a spoiled child and said that it wasn't like me and it wasn't and she said she wasn't like me and wasn't in this for herself, and wanted all of the guests to be able to wear normal wedding colors, and that nobody in their right mind would be comfortable wearing white to a wedding. Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. I mean, I would understand if there was like some ridiculous clothing requirement, but I feel like most people would have either white, black, or gray in their wardrobes.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it sounds like the sister's just jealous that she didn't think of this, but it was her choice to go with a white wedding.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would love to see more sparkles in wedding
Yeah,
clothes,
yeah.
more fun colors. Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with white, but most people wear white. Whereas, like, I don't know, I just think this sounds really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think sounds like a really nice aesthetic.
And I don't even think that people wearing their own wedding clothes would be a bad thing. Like, if they wanted to, I think making that a requirement would be a problem. But, like, how often do people get to rewear their wedding dresses they spend thousands of dollars on?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually a really fun concept, and I think a lot of people might actually enjoy the idea of it. Being able to wear a black tuxedo, a white wedding dress to the wedding, and then come in and stuff like that. It sounds like it could be a lot of fun, and I mean, as long as people are on board with it.
Yeah, it would be like a voluntary thing. But like the sister just seems so hung up on the white thing, but there's still copper, gray, or black to choose from.
Yeah.
No one who doesn't want to wear white has to wear it.
Well, and that's just it. And then also, on top of all of that, she acts like nobody ever specifies colors at a wedding, when there are all kinds of color requirements that you're not supposed to do or supposed to wear at a normal wedding, right? Like, you're not supposed to wear the same colors as the bridal party. There are some places where you're not supposed to wear red. You're certainly not supposed to wear white. It's everyone being controlling to a certain degree, because like weddings are meant to be kind of a event where everyone dresses in a certain way.
Well, I also think it's weird how she's acting like OP is in the wrong for wanting to be in the spotlight in her own wedding. Like,
Yeah.
the couple is kind of the most crucial part of a wedding.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see where we Susan says, "Oh, here we actually have broth as drink." Yeah, that's actually common in some places, from what I understand. It's more like a starter at big events, warm, but still keeps the place a place for food later. Yeah, I think sounds like a tasty type of drink. Mary says everyone in white will make the photos look like snow dusted. I love it. I love the idea. Susum says sister is welcome to stay at home. Mary says sis is a curmudgeon, just searching for someone to snap at. And Susum says sounds amazing wedding theme. I guess there is some sister issues. Exactly. And Morgan says not the jerk. Excuse me. Excuse me. But that's all the time we have for today. Thank you. I keep burping here. Thanks so much for watching, folks. No, it's not Saturday. It's actually
Friday.
literally Friday. I'm always like one day behind, so I always have to like correct myself. But you'll notice that I have forgotten once again to change whatever
The date of the
date
live stream.
Yeah. So our next live stream is going to be it's going to be the 25th of August. So yeah, mark your calendars. August 25. Thanks so much for watching, folks. Thank you for spending this hour with us. I really had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. I hope your weekend goes lovely. And yeah, thanks Mary. What a fun way to close out July. Thank you, Amber and Brian. And everyone else. Calendar marked. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Morgan, as well. I hope you have a great evening. And bye, Susums. Have a great evening.
Bye, everyone.